It's a device so simple that we barely even think about it. Just a little needle floating inside a case. But this one humble invention, it completely unlocked the planet, redrew all our maps, and absolutely reshaped human history. So let's dive in and explore the simple science, the incredible history, and the constant evolution of this world-changing tool. You've seen these things everywhere, right? From military gear to hiking equipment, and yeah, of course, there's one right inside your phone. But have you ever really stopped to think about it? How does that little needle, with no batteries, no power source, just know which way is north? Every single time. That's the mystery we're unpacking. So how does that magic needle actually work? Well, here's the wild part. The secret isn't actually in the compass itself. Nope. It's in the massive, invisible force that's generated by the very planet we're all standing on. The concept is almost shockingly simple when you get down to it. All you really need is a tiny piece of magnetized metal that's free to spin around. And when you hold it level, the entire planet literally does the rest of the work, pulling that needle to point north. It's just a beautiful example of physics at its most elegant. What I find so incredible here is just the sheer scale of what's happening. Our whole planet is acting like a giant invisible bar magnet, creating this massive magnetic field with north and south poles. That magnetized needle in your compass, it's just another much, much smaller magnet. And the Earth's field just puts this torque on it, pulling it into alignment. It is a planetary scale force sitting right there in the palm of your hand. Okay, but here's a super important detail that trips a lot of people up. Your compass doesn't actually point to the geographic North Pole, the spot at the very top of the globe. That's what we call true north. Instead, it points to magnetic north, which is a slightly different spot that actually wanders around over time. Think of it like this. True north is the dead center of a spinning basketball, but magnetic north is like a sticker placed just a little bit off center. That tiny difference, that angle, is called magnetic declination, and trust me, for serious navigators, ignoring it can send you miles and miles off course. And what's really amazing is that people were using this force for thousands of years before we ever really understood the science behind it. So let's take a look back at its pretty ancient origins. The story actually starts not at sea, but on land, way back in Han Dynasty China. The very first compass was a south-pointing spoon carved out of a naturally magnetic rock called lodestone. And get this, it wasn't for finding your way home. It was used for things like fortune-telling and finding precious gems. It took another 1,000 years or so for sailors in the Song Dynasty to have that aha moment and realize, hey, we can use this thing to navigate the open ocean. And once that happened, wow, the idea just exploded, spreading and evolving all across the globe. And this comparison really says it all, doesn't it? On the left, you've got that ancient south-pointing spoon. On the right, a modern compass built for precision map reading. It is the exact same physical principle at work, just separated by 2,000 years of human ingenuity. Pretty cool. All that innovation led to a whole family of compasses, with each one refined for a very specific job. Let's take a look at a few of the key designs. One of the biggest leaps forward was the liquid-filled compass back in the early 20th century. By filling the capsule with oil or alcohol, designers could dramatically slow down the needle's wobble. This made the compass way more stable and so much easier to read, especially on a rocking ship or even just while you're walking. So this is an orienteering compass, and it's designed to be used with a map. See that clear base plate and the rotating dial? You can lay it right on your map, dial in the exact direction you want to go, and then just follow that bearing through the real world. For hikers and backpackers, this thing is an absolute essential. For military use, you get something like this, the lensatic compass. It's built to be super rugged, and that little folding sight and lens let you take a highly accurate bearing on something far away, aligning the target, the compass, and your eye all at the same time. And at sea, well, the challenges are on a whole other level. The mariner's compass sits inside this whole housing, which is called a binnacle. It's mounted on gimbals so it stays level in rough seas. And those spheres on the side? Those are actually iron balls used to counteract the magnetic interference from the ship's own huge steel hull. And that brings up a really critical point. As brilliant as the magnetic compass is, it's not perfect. It has some built-in flaws that every serious navigator needs to understand. A compass needle is a pretty delicate instrument, and it can be fooled pretty easily.
Big iron deposits in the ground, a running car engine, even overhead power lines can create their own magnetic fields that just pull the needle off course. And in a moving vehicle like an airplane, just the simple act of turning or changing speed can cause the compass to lag or overshoot because of inertia, leading to some really significant errors.
Now, here's where it gets really weird, especially for pilots. The Earth's magnetic field doesn't just pull the needle north, it also tries to pull it down toward the ground. Now, when a plane is flying level, that's fine. But as you can see here, when it banks into a turn, that downward pull makes the whole compass card tilt, giving a completely false reading. It's a really tricky illusion that pilots have to be specially trained to basically ignore.
So all these limitations are exactly why, in the modern era, we've had to develop new ways of finding direction that don't rely on that same ancient magnetic principle at all. And this brings us to the modern toolkit. The classic magnetic compass is still vital. I mean, it needs no power, which makes it the perfect backup. But for big ships and airplanes, the gyro compass took over. Think of it like a super high-tech spinning top. Its physics keep it pointing to true north, completely ignoring any magnetic interference. And of course, today we have GPS, which uses this whole network of satellites to tell you not just your direction, but your exact position on the planet. So what does the compass look like now? This tiny little solid-state chip is a microelectromechanical compass. It has no moving parts, and it lives inside your smartphone. It's the direct technological descendant of that 2,000-year-old lodestone spoon, and now it's small enough to get lost in your pocket.
You know, when you really step back, the impact is it's staggering. By giving sailors the confidence to leave the sight of land, the compass unlocked the oceans. It connected cultures, it created empires, and it built the globalized world that we all live in today. And that leaves us with a final thought. We now have these devices that tell us exactly where we are and where to turn next. And it's incredibly powerful, but does it change our relationship with the world around us? In an age of these little blue dots on a screen, have we maybe lost the fundamental human skill of finding our own way? It's something to think about.